you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm not sure how quickly that recording started, but I'm on a mobile hotspot, so it may be delayed. So you know, people will probably not see the first part, but that's okay. I'm Nadeem with PCSN. I'm with Mac over here, and so today I think Mac, to continue from last week, from last Friday, we'll talk a little bit about insurance.
Yep.
And no, I'm not getting into the insurance business. So I think it hit a chord with a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
When it comes to insurance, because a lot of companies, what I'm seeing is that they're just adding cyber insurance through their general liability provider, their umbrella coverage provider,
hmm
and we actually, I don't know if you recall, but there were a few customers out there that were saying that their general liability provider actually said, don't do cyber insurance because their policy is no good.
Yeah. That was the general sentiment actually that they felt it wasn't
Right.
worth the trouble. And I think they're basing it on for lack of knowledge, as far as how it goes. And that's one of the reasons you want to kind of touch on that because a lot of
Yeah.
people don't really know the ins and outs. Yeah.
Yeah, so the main reason why some of these general liability providers are saying don't go with cyber insurance is because the high rate of denial. Basically, there is no proven method that can show in an objective way that a customer has done everything within their power to secure themselves. And there's always one of those things where if you've written or worked with cyber insurance before, you may recall that the insurance company sends you a spreadsheet, right? So you go through the spreadsheet and you have to check a little box, yes or no. Like they'll say, "Do you have a disaster recovery plan?" I have yet to see somebody say no, and everybody says yes. And then when I ask them, well, can you show me your disaster recovery plan? And they're like, it's in my head. I'm like, no, that's not a plan. If it's in your head, it's not a plan. A plan is written out, and that's what the insurance guys are looking for, right? They want that written plan. What do you do in case of a disaster? So and that's just one thing. I mean, there are other things like, do you require complex passwords? That's another thing that usually companies will ask. And then there'll be like, do you have a policy around social networking? So there's a lot of things that these insurance providers are going to ask you, and if one of those answers you said yes and the actual answer is no, that's an easy denial on behalf of the insurance provider. So that's the problem. The problem is there is no objective way to measure that part, measure where the customer is as far as securing themselves, make sure that the client has done all their due diligence as far as securing their network. And if they've done all of that, then the insurance companies don't have a problem paying out the claim, which is the 40% of the claims out there. So right now, 40% of the claims are getting paid out. The remaining 60% are not getting paid out. So what we've done is, the first thing is we wanted to work with a carrier that is well known in the industry to not give customers the runaround, not look for a way out. And surprisingly, and we have a lot of customers in the insurance business. So surprisingly, we found out, I mean, I found out about insurance industry more than I wanted to. I found out that there are some carriers out there who are known to not pay out claims. They will do everything in their power to not have to pay a claim, which is just bad business, right? Maybe they're working in that small space where it's a formality to have insurance. You really don't need insurance. It's just a formality that you're fulfilling, and maybe they're working in that space. I don't know. So what we figured out is that Chubb is one of the better known providers out there, and by far it's the biggest well-known provider who pays out when it comes to cyber insurance. So one of the criteria was, okay, we want to work with Chubb. The and the other part of the equation was where we came in as far as IT goes is automate the compliance piece of it. So whenever you write cyber insurance, you have to have some sort of a compliance checklist, and we want to make sure that a customer is complying by that checklist, and we wanted to automate that part, and that's what we did. So what we do is we run a comprehensive scan of the customer's environment. I mean, we are scanning like over 200 different points. So we're scanning all kinds of stuff. Now, we are also in our compliance manager, we are also uploading reports. Like if a customer has a disaster recovery plan, if in the worksheet it said, yes, we have a disaster recovery plan, then we actually upload that disaster recovery plan into Compliance Manager so that all that information is in one place, and then we send that report to the insurance guys. The insurance guys see it, they write the insurance. When it's time for a claim, they go to that same report. All the associated documentation is in there already. They don't have to come out to the customer and say, oh, by the way, we are missing report so-and-so. We need it before we can pay out this claim. You don't want to go through that when a disaster strikes, or when you're in the middle of a breach and you're trying to, basically get everything back together, and you don't want to run into, trying to hunt some reports, especially if it's an attack like ransomware that has encrypted all your servers. Well, if that report was in there on your server, well, that's encrypted as well. How are you going to get to it? Yep. So we make sure that we take all this and put it in an alternate bucket, which is sent to the insurance provider. So now the insurance provider has all the paperwork, reports, checklists, everything in place. Now, we went a step further, right? So we do this not only at the time of underwriting, but we do this on an ongoing basis. So we basically run this report on a monthly basis. So every month we make sure, and that's part of our management process, every month we make sure that the customer is still in compliance with the requirements of the insurance provider. So that way, there is no chance that anybody can go out and say, oh, yes, you were in compliance when you signed up at the beginning of the year, but then around third month into the year, you stopped complying with this portion of that report. There's no doing that, because we get that report on a monthly basis. We make sure the customer is compliant. We send that report to the insurance provider. Everybody's happy. Everybody's good. If there is a breach, or if there is an issue and the customer files a claim, it gets paid on time. Not only that, but also with Chubb, there is a dedicated forensic team on standby. So if there is an issue, the customer can get in touch directly with the Chubb forensic team, get the forensic analysis going, get support from a legal perspective on how to handle their customers. Maybe in the breach, some of the client data got impacted, so they want to get some lawyers involved around that. So all that is included, and surprisingly, it doesn't even break the bank. I mean, I thought, something so comprehensive, it might not be cost competitive, or it might not be feasible in the small business space. But once we started talking to Chubb and we flushed everything out, it's very economical. I mean, I'm surprised that not everybody has cyber insurance at this point. However, the more complex piece where we had to do some investment on our side is the compliance manager portion of it, the automation of these reports and checklists and scans and all of that. Basically, we wanted to remove that subjective component and bring in an objective component to it. So at the end of the day, there's no finger pointing going on. You should have done this, or you should have done this, or you should have told me that I should have done this. All that goes away. And it makes life a lot easier. So and I'm glad we're talking about it now, because we signed the deal last Friday, and then already now this is the next Friday now, And already in this week, we've had quite a few customers out there wanting to look into cyber insurance.
Yep.
And of course, during our we were doing kind of like an assessment internally, and during our assessment, we found out that a lot of the customers, their general liability provider, are saying, "Don't get cyber insurance from us because it sucks." I mean, that was the bottom line. I mean, these, so these providers are in the insurance business, and they're saying, "Don't get this insurance product because it's no good," because they know that only 40% of the claims get paid out. And I think with our case, our goal is to get 100% payout on these. And if our scans are happening, our reports are happening, all this is happening, and this is a monthly process. And we're going way over the basic requirements from the insurance provider. The insurance provider just wants this done once a year when they renew the cyber insurance, when they renew the insurance plan. They don't require it during the month, but we're doing it every month because we want to make sure that the customer does not fall out of compliance. So that's why we're going above and beyond the basic requirements. And I think with this, with our compliance manager in place, it's just an easy objective method where of course the insurance provider is also on board with us. They have accepted the reports that we generate. So in other words, it's not like we have to then turn around and fill out their spreadsheet as well. No, they're going to accept the reports that we generate. They've already authorized it, approved it, and it's good to go. So that's something good that's in place. Now, having said that, there are a few things that come into play, that customers need to be aware of, right? So when we run this compliance manager assessment in a company and in a network, the compliance manager might bring to attention certain areas that the customer is weak in, right? So, for example, the compliance manager may come back and tell us that 50% of the passwords in the organization are not complex, or it might say that the customer does not have multi-factor authentication in place, and also they do not have complex passwords or password expiration set up, right? So when the compliance manager comes back with all these things, this stuff, and reports it back to us, what we do then is engage with the customer before we even go to the insurance provider. We get with the customer to make sure, and we fix these things that the customer is weak in. So we get them to a good, acceptable baseline, and then we run another final report, make sure everything is, they're falling into compliance, and then send that report over to the insurance people, get them signed up, and everybody's happy at that point. Now, it just occurred to me, I don't know if I said this, but you're probably not seeing me because I'm on a mobile hotspot, so I disabled video. So you're just seeing Mac, and that's okay. It's supposed to be like that. So Mac, go ahead and put that brochure up on the screen if you would.
Sure.
And I just want to have people kind of see the what this insurance is all about. And basically, it's not only your cyber insurance part, right? It also includes protection during a disaster. So if there is a natural disaster or even a man-made disaster, a disaster of any kind, this insurance will kick in, and it will support you during that crisis. The other part of the thing is not all cyber insurance is the same. And what I mean by that is you want to make sure that when there is an incident, that your insurance is going to cover and protect your clients as well. In other words, what happens, let me give you a scenario. Let's say you're the owner of company ABC, and there is a breach at ABC, and some of their customer data got compromised. Well, now ABC's customers are reaching out to ABC and saying, hey, I need to file for this because we have a loss in revenue of $20,000. It's because of your breach. And so who's going to handle all of that, right? Who's going to deal with that? And this insurance actually covers that as well. So that's what I mean when I say not all cyber insurance is the same. Is you don't want to protect just yourself, but you want somebody to guide you when your customers claim that your breach impacted their business, and it happens. I mean, the cybercrime usually does not stop at the one party, at the first party.
That's
It
true.
usually flows down and impacts a lot of people downstream.
That's
Your
true.
customers will get impacted if you're, like if you're, let's say you're providing raw materials to a manufacturing firm, and because of your breach, the manufacturing firm could not meet their goals for shipments. Now they are seeing a loss of revenue of a certain amount. Who are they going to file against? Well, they're going to come after you because you had a commitment to provide that raw material and you didn't keep your end of the bargain. So they're going to come after you, and somebody needs to negotiate with them. Hey, we're going to, negotiate what you're going to pay out, how are you going to pay it out, and all that stuff. So the insurance comes in at that point and takes care of all that. So it's much easier to get a handle after the incident, as opposed to if you're doing it alone and then everything is on your shoulders. You have to basically handle everything, and it can get pretty daunting. I mean, even for customers in the IT field, like we work with a lot of other IT firms, and providing like knowledge transfer, things like that, to other IT companies. And even with them, it's a huge thing where IT companies can get sued because their customers felt the impact of a breach at an IT company. So that, I mean, I don't know if you recall, but not too long ago in one of our seminars, the question came up about this large MSP getting breached, and they were hosting QuickBooks for their customers. And of course, their customers had no access to their financial data during this breach, during this incident. Who's going to pay for loss of revenue for that? I mean, who's going to handle all of that? So there's a big issue there.
Yeah.
And that's something that cyber insurance can really help somebody out. And the final question that came up in our assessment over the past week is that, hey, Nadeem, we have our general liability, and we already added on the cyber insurance component to that, so I think we're good. So my question to them is, well, who is the carrier? And there's only a handful of cyber insurance carriers out there. And somebody says a certain name, and if that name is known to never pay out, I'm going to be like, go ahead and sign up for our insurance anyway, because it's very cost effective, and we become the primary, so then you don't have to worry about it. And if there is any overage or anything like that, we can run it by your GL provider and see if they can cover it. But there are certain providers, there are certain carriers out there that are known to always find a way to get out of having to pay a claim. So you want to avoid those types of carriers. What I'm hearing from our insurance customers is that if your carrier is Chubb, run with it. They're good. They pay out. They try to help you out. They're not trying to just get out of a claim like a lot of other providers out there. So bear that in mind. But if you have any questions regarding cyber insurance, I would say go ahead and reach out to Mac or myself. We can probably do a direct, one-on-one call with you, go through the ins and outs. We can run the assessments. We can show you. I mean, even nothing else. I mean, even if you don't want insurance, we can run the compliance check and show you where you would
Exactly.
fail if you were to go get insurance, right?
Exactly.
So these are some of the things that right now are very important, and that's why we're doing it now. We never even thought about insurance, before the beginning of the year. I mean, it's not until the pandemic hit and all the bad guys kicked everything into high gear, and all of a sudden, we're like, man, and it's not just us. I mean, everybody, we're seeing it industry wide. So, Mac, I see you shaking your head, but before the pandemic, when we used to talk about security, people's eyes got glazed over. Nobody wanted to talk about security.
That's true.
And then the pandemic hit, and the scammers kicked everything into high gear, and now everybody's like, Oh, you want to talk to me about security? Talk to me. Yes, I have time for you. I mean, before it was the lowest item on the totem pole, and
It
now
was.
it's fairly high. It's like almost the highest item. Everybody in the IT industry right now, I bet you, is talking about security because all their customers are demanding it. And technology will only take you so far. At some point the human factor comes in,
Yep.
and you have to get covered by other means where technology just can't do it, and that's where insurance comes in. So it's going to fill that gap that technology just cannot possibly cover. So I would say, reach out to Mac or myself, get some more information, and I'm going to have Mac reach out to most of our customers out there individually. Just call people up, and let them know about this, because I know, even though I would like to think that everybody watches my videos, but I don't think they do. But no, folks, cyber insurance is something you don't want to skimp on. It's so easy nowadays for the bad guys to breach a network. It's so big, in this social media world where people are sharing passwords, people are reusing passwords. It's just the right thing to do, and why not, for such a nominal cost, why not protect yourself and your customers and save the headache during a breach, the hassles that you have to go through during a breach. you know and that's why we have that forensic team on standby as well, is so they can really hold your hand and walk you through it and do a proper forensic analysis. And I'm talking about a professional forensic analysis, not just some IT guys out there thinking they're professional forensic analysis experts now just because they saw some shows about forensic files and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I mean, you wouldn't believe how many companies I see who claim to be forensic experts, and they're, what they're doing is they're downloading Kali Linux and think they're forensic experts all of a sudden. It's not that easy. it's a
Jeez.
it's a discipline people have spent years and years before they can be deemed as professionals in their fields. And that's why we're not, we are not forensic specialists. We are not forensic experts. That's why we have a team of forensic experts that we reach out to when there is an issue. This is all these guys do. This is what they live. This is what they breathe. I mean, you got to go to the professionals of, they're the best at what they do, right? So again, folks, call Mac. What's the number? 281-402-2620. I think
That
I
is
said that
correct.
right. Yeah, I don't call our number very often, so I don't remember. But it's 281 402 2620. And that's it. Mac, did you have a question for me?
Actually, kind of to, it's funny, we were talking about security, and I know we've been harping on it. We have to at this point because of everything that's going on. One thing that I wanted to tell you about, I'm pretty sure you already know, Google has been testing a domain only URL in Chrome to try to stop all the scams and the phishing. And this is just on a, this is just on the, this is not even enterprise level, but it's just gotten so out of hand that,
Right,
they're
right.
just trying to find some way to, curtail it. So to that point, as far as what we've been talking about in regards to cyber insurance, and I know I've called quite a few of you, and I will continue to call quite a few of you because, at this level and at this point in time, you just cannot afford not to be protected in every way, shape, or form.
It's glad you bring that up, Mac, because it's not just Google. A lot of companies are doing that. So I
Mhm.
know Mozilla is doing dark web scans
Yep.
for you as well. So if you have a Mozilla account, it will give you free dark web scanning option.
Yep.
Yeah, it's consumer grade, but it is meant for consumers. It's not
Yep.
meant for enterprise. So there's always, security should be top of mind. It's not that world anymore where you can say oops and walk away. It's not
It
that easy
isn't.
anymore.
It
And then
is.
and also, folks, the states in the U.S., the states are implementing more and more compliance requirements. So that's another thing that we foresee in the near future, is that there's going to be a much more compliance burden coming down from the states, legally from the states, that a lot of different industries will have to comply with. And I'm talking beyond HIPAA and Starbucks and all these other, that we know about. There's a lot of other, I think Ohio already implemented one, and they're NIST based. But the thing is, they are coming up with compliance baselines that you have to comply with in certain industries. So Mac, what have you planned for this hot weekend?
I'm staying inside. Just hot as hell outside. Staying
Yeah,
inside. I told my daughter, she has to go to work, and I'm like, that's fine. Expect the house to be at least 68 because it is blazing hot, and you can tell people are
right.
very aggravated. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I hear you. And I think yesterday I got an alert that today was going to be a spike in energy costs because of the heat.
Yeah,
So yeah, folks, be safe out there.
please.
Along with the pandemic, we have this heat going on. I don't know what else is in store for us, but I'm sure we're up to the task. I think we can take it on.
Yep.
We're resilient. We'll get
Yep.
through it. So until next Friday, everybody, have a good day and be safe out there.
Guys, have a good one.